Ms. Josette, please, in prayer.
Yes, I can. Right. Oh, Heavenly Father, I want to thank you for this day. I want to thank you for all the blessings up until this period of time. Lord, I ask you to conduct this meeting in a way that's pleasing to the town of Hilliard. Lord, I pray for the United States. All these blessings I ask in your name. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, we'll take roll call. Mr. Webb?
Here.
Ms. Lawson?
Here.
Mr. Wilson? Is that how you pronounce it?
Yes, here.
Mr. Fry?
I'm here.
And Chair is here. Ms. Fulis is here, as well as council.
Yes, Mr. Devon.
All right. Do we have any additions or deletions to the agenda as published?
No, ma'am.
Item number 2, Planning and Zoning Board approval of site clearing site work application number 2025-0909.1. Would you like to read your?
Absolutely. All right, so as background, Miss Sherry Downs owns 0.84 acre lot at the dead end of West Fifth Street. The property is zoned R3. The parcel is not located in wetlands and the parcel is currently vacant. Site clearing site work application was submitted for the purpose of leveling and grading the lot in preparation for building dwelling units on the lot. The developer has complied with the requirements and requests of town staff and has waited on the Planning and Zoning Board approval to complete the work. Sherry Downs and her partner have stated that they intend to develop the property in the future. The Public Works Department is working with a contractor to produce an estimate for the work needed on water and sewer extensions that are required to develop the lot. Section 62-353, excavating and or filling in town code states no excavating or filling can occur on the lot unless an active permit has been issued for the property. No runoff or fill can impede adjoining properties. Permission for excavating a site or for site clearing must be granted by the Planning and Zoning Board, and any necessary state permits be secured except for the following: 4 loads of fill dirt on a homesteaded property each year. Financial impact to the town is none. Recommendation: Planning and Zoning Board approval of application number 202507009.1, site clearing site work, Sherry Downs property owner. I'm sorry, her name's not capitalized there. With the condition that the vacant lot be seeded or hayed when the site work is complete to prevent erosion. So to give you an update on this, this is a lot that you guys recommended a lot split on a couple of months ago, and the town council approved that lot split. They've renovated the original home that was on that property, and it is up for sale. Just today, we got back the estimate from the contractor that'll be doing the utility extension for the town. That will turn into an invoice that'll go to Ms. Downs and her partner. When they pay that invoice to the town, then the town will engage with the contractor to start that work. They have to do a whole block sewer extension, new manhole, new water taps, new water lines, lots of things that were involved in this. We talked about it at a couple workshops. And all of that will need to be complete before they have building permits.
To the renovated home.
To any home. The renovated home already has water.
Okay.
The renovated home will be tied into sewer.
Okay.
The current vacant lot, they have plans to build on that lot. So the extensions will be to be able to build on that lot. So we can't issue them building permits on the vacant lot until the utilities are engaged. They've paid for them and we've begun that work. They can't take dirt off or put dirt on the lot without a building permit unless you do this approval.
Right.
So what they're asking is for you to let them get started, removing trees and stumps, doing their building pads while we're getting paid and getting the utilities started so that they can do both simultaneously. That's what this application's for. That's what they're asking for.
So they'll be able to do the building pads?
As part of this, yes. They'll be able to do building permits with this approval. They can't get building permits until they pay for the utility extension. So they can do whatever they want on that piece of property, but they can't utilize any building that they put in place without a building permit, which they can't get till they've paid for the utility extensions. So this would just be for tree work, dirt work, that kind of stuff, which they can't really do without your permission here.
Right.
Because I can't issue them a building permit yet.
And they know all of this.
They know all this.
They
Yes,
know
ma'am.
it's
Had
not-
many conversations with them about this.
Yes, no underlying, no, we approve, and then they,
They have a full understanding
as long as they.
of the parameters and the limitations.
Do we follow up, like code enforcement, or does somebody follow up on these applications that, when, to, ensure like that the excavation hasn't exceeded the grade and all of that?
That's part of the building permit process.
Okay, so the building,
So, and if they feel enough to put water on the neighbor's property,
right,
then they violated the agreement of this. So the neighbor will call us and say, I'm having water I've never had before, and then we send code enforcement out to, because you're not allowed to put water from your property on anyone else's property.
right. And Skip, just from your construction experience, so something like this typically is a fill, not a excavation. We call it a fill and excavation. permit.
Yeah,
Yeah,
most times, especially around here,
you're hauling.
they're gonna haul in a little bit.
Okay.
The lot is kind of a little bit low. It won't take much dirt. They'll haul more dirt in for the building pad than they will anything else.
But if they, for example, if they cut down a tree that's the place where they want to put the structure, and they push the root ball up, and then they haul it off, because there's dirt attached to those roots, that's an
And it's left,
excavation,
yeah.
they're taking the dirt
Yeah.
away.
Yeah, no,
Right.
I get why we called it that, I just wasn't sure. Okay. So, we'll entertain a motion to approve or deny
I make a motion
Do they
to
have-
approve it.
Oh, I'm sorry, do they have to come back and do another permit to use the building, or is this?
They'll have to do a building permit through the building department, but not back through you again.
unless there's some crazy variance or something that.
Unless there's some variance or something later, or they want to do even more on the property than what's approved by a standard building permit. Like, okay, so that property is on R3. You're allowed to have multifamily housing. So if they wanted to put a quadplex, that's multifamily housing, it requires site plan approval by you. If they want to do a duplex, which is what they're looking at now, according to Florida Building Code, that is 2 single-family dwelling units that are attached. So it's still considered single-family homes, not multifamily homes. So with single-family homes, it just requires the building permit process, approval from me and the building official, Public Works, everybody, has to sign off on all that. But you guys won't have to sign off again. It's my understanding they're going to be renting them because they're going to maintain the parcel size. They can't split that parcel again. So either they'll have to sell them all. They're hoping to do 2 duplexes, so 4 dwelling units total, and they have the density to do that. One owner will have to own them all because they can't split the lot again. So to sell them, they would have had to split the lot smaller, and then they can't meet their side setbacks because you don't have a 0 lot line.
So at best, they could only sell them to
One
someone.
One
that
single
is
owner.
Willing to be landlord for.
Yeah, so somebody could live in one and rent out the other 3,
Yeah.
or they could rent out all, they could maintain ownership of all 4 and rent out all 4.
Are those gonna be what they're considering 2 separate buildings?
Yes. That is currently what they're considering. There were a few factors that went into that. One of them is fire need for that area. So 2 separate buildings The fire hydrant that is a block away is close enough if it's two separate buildings. If they squish it together to be one structure, then fire code says we got to get a fire hydrant all the way down to the front yard. And so was one of the factors that went into two separate buildings. If they do it in two separate buildings, they can build one building, see how the market goes, see what kind of costs they have in it, and then decide if they want to build the second building. They don't have to build them all at the same time if they do two separate buildings.
So if they do two separate buildings, do they have parking?
Yes, they will have to have parking with each building permit.
Do they have enough room?
Yes,
Right.
absolutely.
Parking doesn't probably have to be.
There's to be two per
It could come
dwelling
in
unit.
and split out into a driveway.
So like a standard garage size, two per dwelling unit.
I
That's
mean,
what's
it's not like
required.
our complex.
They put two buildings there.
I mean, they've got that going down Lynn Turner and Callahan, those duplexes, they've got several duplexes like next to each other, and they come in, they share an entry off of Lynn Turner because they split out into the individual,
Yeah.
driveways or whatever, so.
They share a common road entrance
Right,
and then split off.
right. And then they.
Each set of, the required parking for each building will be determined with each building permit. And they'll have to have it in place for me to sign their CO because required parking is a zoning requirement. So if they don't have the required parking, and whatever else is required by our zoning code, appropriate landscaping and trees, numbers on the building, appropriate setbacks, I don't sign their CO.
And doesn't just for the we see a lot of the lot split requests because of the way the town of Hiller was platted. Is it platted the right way? We have very old plat, and we have a lot of misconformed lots. So, when someone owns a lot, they see the potential to have more than just one, and they're a builder, they're like, okay, we can split these out so I can sell to them. So we do that a lot. We're seeing that more and more, I think, in the last couple of years, for sure.
And we have some parts of town where it's already platted into smaller pieces, but it's easy to
Yeah.
reconfigure it. They don't require us. And then we have some parts of town, like this particular parcel, it was still a whole lot. It was still one original piece of land. And so then it has to be split from there. You guys have to make a recommendation, town council has to approve that.
And they already have a house on this line, you said?
There's already one house. It was an older house that was already there and they renovated it.
Has any work been done there at all yet?
On the new lot,
Yeah.
they've done some scrubbing and some brushing. They own the property. They're allowed to do what they want on the property as long as they don't remove any dirt or add any dirt. They can cut down trees and cut their shrubs and cut their grass and bush hog and all, and that's what they've done so far. They've moved around what's on the lot a little bit, but as long as they don't remove anything or add anything new, they're allowed to do that before this approval. Now, when it was all one lot, and they had building permits on that original house before they split it, it was all one lot. They had an active building permit. They could do whatever they wanted on the lot as a whole. Once they split it, then permission to work on this side was lost unless you make this approval tonight. If that makes sense, because they became two separate parcels. Okay.
There was a decision on, you have to do with that road, which was,
They will have to upgrade the surface one level, and the council's given guidance on that. After they put in the new sewer line and the manhole and move the water line into the street from the private property and put in the new taps and put in all the laterals. Then they still have to upgrade the road one level, which will most likely be millings. They gave a couple of options. The council gave a couple of options: gravel, limestone, millings. If they wanted to go ahead and just pave it, put in curb and gutter, of course, we're not going to stop them from doing that because that's really what we would like it to be. But of course, they won't do that just for this main dwelling units. They can't recoup the cost.
Okay. Any other questions? Entertain a motion.
We have a motion here.
Oh, we did? I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm making a motion
Can we include the condition?
Yes, include the
Okay.
condition.
I'll second it.
Mr. Lennon, how do you vote? Mr. Webb? Ms. Lawson?
Yes.
Mr. Fry?
Yeah.
And Chair votes yes, so.
While we're still on this one. Yeah, that is relatively close to my house.
I know.
All right. I'm not really sure what that meant, but moving on to item number 3. The planning and zoning board to review and discuss and provide feedback regarding the proposed updates to the planning and zoning rules and procedure resolution. So in your packet, you would have had, again, did we make any changes since last time?
We've not made any changes, but I do have some suggestions from a couple of you all that I wanted to go over tonight.
Okay.
See how you felt about them, if you want to incorporate them or
Yes.
not. So remember, your options are to keep what you already have, which is just for like the quasi judicial proceedings, okay? You can add what's in red, you can modify what's in red, you can do everything that's here, you can do part of what's here, you can just keep what you've already got, which is your quasi judicial proceedings, which is in black on the form you have. Okay, so the suggestions we had, one suggestion was that we rotate the chair and vice chair. And what was meant by that is we pick a chairman in January and a vice chair, and then the next year in January, the vice chair becomes the chairman, and we just name a new vice chair. And so that way, everybody has an opportunity to become vice chair and then chair, and we rotate that through, so everybody has a turn, and we make that our standard. And so we officially make a motion about those new positions every January, but in our policy and procedures for planning and zoning, it states out how that will happen. That was one of the
Where is
suggestions.
that?
It's right here on my notes, because it's not been added, because you've not discussed it.
Oh,
told me to add it.
okay, I'm sorry, I thought you were going over what you updated and read.
I don't update anything until y'all tell me to.
Oh, okay.
So
We actually have talked about that.
we have talked about it
Doing
before.
that, and
Well, it's gonna give everybody a chance to move up. Every year, your vice chair sat for a year and watched, and then they would become the chair. We nominated a vice chair. And it gives everyone a chance to do it. And for those that don't want to do it, say so. Say so at the meeting. If you get nominated to be vice chair, say no, I'd rather not do it. Or if you're nominated chair, say no, I'd rather not be the chair. Let's get someone else to do it.
that's how we've done it in chambers. I've been in some of the chamber boards where we've done that, and we actually even have what is the position after you've been chair? You're
Like I'm an emeritus.
chair. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I don't see that we need that, but we can probably.
So
focus on it more, but-
should we write it, if we're writing it as a policy, should we write it to say that the vice chair should get the first opportunity,
Yes.
consideration to be chair, and we name a new vice chair instead of saying it is a,
Right.
so as a
Yeah, that's
procedure,
a great
we
way.
want a
Yeah.
vice chair first right of refusal.
Right.
Devin and his team will write this in the way that's actually legal.
Right.
Okay. For chair, then new vice chair, January. Okay, is then everybody happy with that? If we get that modification?
Word that.
December?
No, the code specifically says that you do that at your January meeting. that you choose your officers at your first meeting of January every year. That's specifically spelled out in chapter 62. Okay, so the next suggestion that we had was that we have description of the positions in this manual. So what they meant by that when they suggested it was that we name that the positions are chair and vice chair, and then we give a description of that position and what their responsibilities are. Then we kind of spell it out a little bit more in detail. Our code just says that you'll have them, but it does, and that the chair will run the meeting, but it doesn't really say anything more than that. What's in red in here is some responsibilities for the chair if there's like a disciplinary action needed or a verbal coaching, or you might want to have the chair communicate with the land use administrator monthly to see if anything needs to be added to the workshop agenda or if anything needs to be addressed. You can add responsibility to the chair or vice chair. You can require them to do a training on Robert's rules. You can, whatever you would like to do. But if you'd like to describe those positions and give them responsibilities, we can do that here, or we can let that lie and let what's already here speak for itself. So y'all give me some
I
feedback
think
on
our
that.
board is small enough and intimate enough that we attend our meetings, understand how they're ran. I think that might be a little overkill to put in a job description into that.
I think what we
I
have.
think in general, I think maybe a couple of sentences around the duties and duties and responsibilities, but I mean, to write out a full job description on seems a little.
Well, I mean, certainly the job,
That
des-
was my suggestion.
Oh, was
I just
it?
threw that
Oh.
out there just because I was like, I don't know what these
Yeah.
positions actually.
Okay, so
I mean,
Yeah.
certainly if we wrote out a job description, the job description wouldn't be more than,
So you're saying,
What Leanne stated was kind of where that was going, and this whole vice chair thing rotating
Yeah.
kind of plays into that too, right? Like, what am I supposed to do if I am the chairman or the vice chairman?
Right.
Or just a simple
Maybe
little board
Well, we
member
would
like
hope that you would want
Kind
to
of
be on the board a
description of
little
what
Yes.
is
while
required
and
of that
watch,
position.
how
Yes.
things are done.
Right, yeah, but I'm like, if somebody just comes in and is doing it, how do they know what they're supposed to?
so 2 or 3 sentences for chair, 2 or 3 sentences for vice chair, 2 or 3 sentences for board member.
What is required of the
Just a very
Okay.
simple
Okay.
PD of what
Okay,
it
okay,
is.
we can do that.
Maybe, like I said, just the requirements of what it details at those positions.
Yes,
So,
okay.
Right.
Okay.
Well, it's-
So another bullet point that goes along with that is how the positions filled. We've kind of already talked about that
That was
in
you
rotating
already
positions. Yeah, okay, so
Yeah.
I think we've already hit that one. And then, in your procedures, it talks about, in the red, one of the red sections, it talks about the need to be prepared for a meeting. That's one of the responsibilities, is to be prepared for a meeting. And so the suggestion was that we flush that out a little bit. It just says prepared for a meeting. Do we want to add more detail as to what prepared means, or do we just want to leave it prepared for the meeting? It's kind of subjective. So right now, this is not really an issue for us, but if we consistently had someone who just showed up to meetings and they were not prepared, they did not speak on the items, they were not participating, they were just filling a seat. It's hard for us to hold them accountable for not being prepared for a meeting if we don't state what.
I think it's hard to do.
Prepared for a
number
meeting, yes.
5, the removal at any time, they may be removed, but if they don't really know what they're supposed to do in order to not be removed. I mean, it's kind of.
Number
probably
5, in
some-
what section are you looking
Oh,
at?
I'm sorry, section 4.
Okay.
Section 4.
The red, it's in red.
Removal, anytime member may be removed by a meeting to go with the full town council.
Okay, that, we have nothing to do with that. That's in the council's code. We have no say over that. So the referral we have, control over. Repeated or unresolved violations may be referred to the town's governing body for review.
Do we
da, da, da.
have a repeal, an appeal process? So if somebody voted 80% of the council voted and wanted me removed. Do I have an option to appeal that decision
You can appeal any decision made by the town council in civil
to
court.
who? Oh, to civil court.
So if I make a decision someone doesn't like, they appeal to you.
Right.
If you make a decision someone doesn't like or agree with, they appeal to the council. If the council makes a decision someone doesn't like, they appeal to the court.
Okay.
So that's kind of how like the governing bodies.
Right.
And then that court, that's the appellate court, it's the Florida Supreme Court, up the, however many steps are up that food chain.
Okay.
What was the question?
So the question is, do we want to flush out what we mean by be prepared? Or do we want to just leave it, be prepared?
Well, I think sometimes we cross the line when we get too prepared. So I do think calling out something specific, you know, I wouldn't want to establish a procedure that says go out and talk to the, you know, because then we do run into issues with, pro quota. Is that what it's called?
Quasi judicial hearings, only if it's not
quasi-judicial.
during a quasi judicial hearing.
That's the only time that we have to disclose ex parte
Yes,
is during the.
quasi judicial hearing, a
that
public
is-
hearing. Yes, ma'am.
I thought it was.
But
that
that's-
anything
No,
that
ma'am.
required a motion.
But the town council is in the process of adopting a resolution that says that they and you have the authority to go do site visits as long as you
Okay.
disclose it in quasi judicial hearings, because right now, the way the Florida statutes are written, we're not supposed to be doing that
I know.
unless we disclose it.
So I mean, in.
So we're putting it in writing that this is our
I
standard.
think maybe we should wait then until that's done, so that we have a clear.
Before you meet
understanding.
again, that will be done. And all it will say is if you do a site visit, you have to disclose it in a
Okay.
quasi judicial hearing. That is all it will say. That's all the Florida statute requires.
Okay.
But
Because I do think.
doing a site visit does not have to be required to be prepared. You could put something in here as simple as read your agenda and the supporting documents beforehand.
Yeah, check the codes that.
You can, it can be very simple. It literally can be as
Yeah,
simple
let's do
as
that.
read the agenda and the supporting
And then
documents
let's let
before the start of the meeting.
council's motion or council's, you know, add the, if you are inclined to go visit sites.
Okay, so when we're talking about be prepared, we're gonna say read agenda and support docs prior to meeting. Yes,
Yes.
yes?
At minimum, yes.
Okay, I think that's what we have to do. I think we just need to set a minimum standard. All of you are really good about, if you've read over it and you have a question or you have a concern, you're reaching out, can we address this in the meeting? Are they gonna be there for us to ask this question? Did this get looked after? You guys are really good about reaching out to me, which is the appropriate lane, so then we can be certain that it's addressed in a meeting. So I don't think that's an issue. And if you don't have anything, we don't wanna say you have to contact me and, you know, tell me, you're gonna send me a message that says, read it, check mark, smiley face, sticker. Like, you know what I mean? I don't think that has to be done.
Well, a lot of
Okay.
times we
I'm
run,
sending you a thumbs up regardless.
I'll send you one back.
well, a lot of times we run into that issue where we know we don't supposed to talk to people. And people will come, they'll call or ask you a question, and you know that we have to expose that if we walk in this room, we sat in this room.
So all you have to do is take notes,
Mhm.
date, time, who you talked to, what you talked about,
Mhm.
provide it to me,
Mhm.
and I can add it to the agenda. And I can say, Ms. Josetta received this phone call, and I'm literally going to scan the notes you give me, and I'm going to add it to the agenda, because then you have disclosed it to everybody here or anybody out there.
Mhm.
They might have questions, and as long as you disclose it, it's fine. Yeah. That's really important in quasi judicial.
Mhm.
You can't talk to each other
Mhm.
ever on things that might come before you on the agenda. That's a sunshine law problem. But if a citizen comes up and talks to you, you just need to disclose it. You should need to talk about it. Okay. So say that again? Yes. Skip. Okay, so here's what I need. I need for you all, please, to tell me to get the things we discussed added to this for you to review again and put it back on your agenda. And I need you to make a motion that says that, so I can have that directive and make those changes. Okay?
Okay.
Okay.
All in favor? Aye.
Thank you.
One thing I did, and I know I asked about the council, are they considering adopting decorum and, especially around the, respectful meeting?
Well, they already have a civility clause that
They
governs
do.
their meetings. And the council can call for civility and ask someone to do roof chambers anytime he chooses.
Including.
Sure.
Okay.
And they can adopt this. Right now, as far as I know, they're not considering adoption of policy and procedures to govern themselves in the manner that you have. They've been encouraged by staff members and others to do that. They're just not ready to move forward with that. Yeah.
All right, so we have made a motion and approved, you for what you need, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Item number 4, planning and zoning board approval of our minutes from the 7-1 regular meeting.
I made a motion.
Ms. Josetta. First, anybody second? Mr. Webb second, all in favor? Aye.
Thank you.
And we have any additional comments? I would just like to say officially welcome to our board.
Thank you.
We're excited to have you on board.
Excited to be here.
We promise not to drive you too crazy. This one was a very quiet meeting.
It was.
We have had some wild ones. But yeah, this one was good. So that's my comments for the chair. Any comments from the public? No. Any board members? Any additional comments?
No, ma'am.
And our land use
Yes, of
administrator.
course.
I knew you would have one.
Okay, I always do. Okay, so we've adopted a few things since the last time we updated your binders. So Dustin, you already have these.
Okay.
So this is the sign ordinance, which is an amendment to chapter 62, one for your binders.
Okay.
This is an update information and contact sheet for board members and when everybody was approved and when they'll be up, for reapproval or when their term, let me rephrase that, when their term ends, because they're no longer doing automatic reappointments, remember. So this fall, it'll be Ms. Josetta's turn, and the process we went through when Dustin was appointed, that process will happen again where they'll advertise, they'll take resumes, they'll talk to the people. We're hoping Ms. Josetta will be one of those and she'll want to keep on going even though it's already been 20 years. And they'll decide who to appoint to that seat. That's the process going forward for appointment. And then this one is the tree mitigation ordinance that was adopted, and it simply gives us the ability to set up the tree mitigation fund and charge fees when people remove trees from their property during development that they're not going to be able to replace on their property according to your landscape code, which you already have. This is what gives us the ability to charge them the money for that and then use it for our parks in town or put the trees in public spaces. So I wanted you to have copies of all those. On the 14th of August, there is a 6 p.m. workshop. Several things on that workshop will involve zoning board things. If you can be at that workshop, it will be wonderful. Habitat for Humanity is supposed to be coming back to talk to the council about a possible offer and some due diligence requirements for if they want to develop the property. We're going to be looking at the local mitigation strategy, which is an emergency management document that Alicia and I have been working for about a year in putting together. They have to redo it every so often by Florida statute. And it's time for us to review the document as a whole and give any notes.
I'm sorry, what was the document again?
LMS, Local Mitigation Strategy. We're going to be talking about code enforcement and unsafe structures. We have a very broad definition of unsafe structures in our code, and the state statute has a pretty broad definition of unsafe structures. Unsafe structures. But the county has a really well thought out and well-developed ordinance about unsafe structures and when code enforcement can get involved, when they should stay out of it. Because we've kind of agreed to take our code enforcement to the local magistrate from now on to handle code violations, we really need to beef up this part.
Change that.
When they got rid of the code board about 6 months ago and put a local magistrate in place with the county, and we had no other way to mitigate our code enforcement. It's an interlocal agreement that the council approved that. Yes. So, if we're gonna send something to the magistrate for them to oversee a case, what happens is Dale and myself and probably Kim will have to go there and prove that so an unsafe structure would be something that it's raining in the building, right? The roof has been gone. We've asked them to fix the roof, or we've asked them to remove the structure. You see them all over the place. It would give us the ability to cite them with code. They go to the magistrate makes them repair the dwelling or remove the dwelling. Because it's not livable.
So they can comply and
They can
take care
comply
of the
within 30
building,
days and it's done. It
and
doesn't
they
go
don't
to the
go.
county.
Okay.
If they don't comply, or they choose to not follow our code, or they want to ask the magistrate, does this really meet the standards of our code? Then it goes to the magistrate. So think like mini court.
So we're gonna be discussing what that.
We're going to be
code
discussing unsafe structures and how our code kind of lines up with the county code, and if we need or want to make changes to our code. That's one of the things that'll be on there. And then building permit exception expansion. So currently we have a building permit exception that says if you have a homesteaded property, you can add up to 250 square feet a year of storage space, a deck, a porch, a shed, right? Up to 250 square feet
Per year.
per calendar year, if you have a homesteaded property. Okay, so we kind of adopted that through the county process, because Florida Building Code says if you add anything at all to your property, you have to have engineered plans. One set of steps that you're building brand new and attaching to the front of your house, engineered plans. And so this is kind of a way for the council to relieve some of that pressure on our citizens to have engineered plans.
For any structure adding 250 square feet.
Or less of storage or outside space on a homesteaded property by the property owner. That's what our code currently says, within 1 calendar year. So
We had that.
Are they required to get a building permit for
yes,
that?
it's a building permit exception. It's a building permit exception. They have to go through zoning review so I can make sure their shed's on their property. We still have to go through that part. So the county also has this. They've expanded theirs up to 320 square feet, so somebody can do a 16 by 16 shed. And it still fall under the exemption. So we're going to discuss with the council and with you all if we would like to expand up that 70 extra square feet.
And
Or
essentially,
not.
all we're doing is bypassing the requirement to have engineering plans.
We're not bypassing. We're allowing freedom from a state regulation. Your municipal governing body is allowing freedom from a state regulation.
with an exemption.
Bypass.
By
With an
voting-
exemption.
By voting on the exemption.
By voting on an exemption.
Pretty simple.
Okay.
Freetown and Hilliard as well. Okay, so those are the things currently that fall kind of in your realm that will be on that agenda on the 14th.
At the workshop.
At the workshop, it starts at 6 p.m. It will be a long meeting. Bring a snack, eat dinner before. They will do any joint workshop stuff at the beginning, like per usual, and then they'll let you guys leave and go home and eat. And then the rest of us will get to stay and do whatever it is on their side. It's a lot this time. It's a big meeting. Bring a snack.
All right. I'm assuming our council doesn't have any.
Mr. Devon, do you have anything for us?
Just to clarify my own notes, we didn't address any of the redlining in the rules, did we? That's gonna be for the next meeting.
Correct. I'm gonna reach out to you and Avery and give you our notes and have it added to the red line, and then it'll get reviewed by the board again at the next meeting. And when they give final approval, then we'll adopt it the following meeting via resolution.
Wonderful. So we'll adopt the new suggestions made today plus the red lines at the next meeting.
Probably not adopting it at next meeting.
Sorry.
Probably reviewing it at next meeting and adopting it at the meeting after.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
It's also around here. All right, well, with that, we will accept a motion for adjournment. All in favor? Aye.
Thank you all.